We now confirm our second signing of this summer. However, there's a twist to this deal. Today, my friends, we discuss the latest transfer news and club news, so I hope you guys most definitely enjoy it. I want to give you guys a quick heads up. Sadly, I won't have any predictions or previews for the Euros. I just don't have the time. I'm going to be abroad sometime next week too. I've got so much things in my life going on too. I'm only one guy by myself that does everything. I get help here and there, but it's never consistent. So it's something I'm hoping at some point this year I can finally get the right help with the channel so I can have maybe more time to record and actually do other things outside of it too. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and let's get straight into tackling today's reports. So let's start things with the first story, and finally, we have reached an agreement to sign Pedro Lima from Sporting Recife. In terms of the finances, we've agreed to pay a €7 million fixed fee with an additional $3.5 million in add-ons. He's set to sign a 5-year deal, and at the moment his agent is traveling to us to get this deal legalized and finalized. So this is great news. I think the kid's a massive talent, but there is a twist to the story because, as expected, as discussed in a previous video on Pedro Lima, we won't be paying for the deal. Instead, this deal is set to be completed via Blue Coast side in RC Strasbourg. Now, I've explained the reasoning behind why I think this will be the case. Watch that video to get the full scoop, full context. But to really condense everything I said, long story short, he doesn't qualify for a work permit. Not only must we wait for him to turn 18 before he can come to Europe, but he doesn't qualify for a work permit. It could take him a few years. So why would it make sense for us to waste one of our under 21 quotas for the transfer window on a player that can't play for us for the next few years? This is where this arrangement with Strasbourg makes a lot of sense. They're a Band 1 club. This way he can fast track potentially getting his work permit points, and that's going to require him to play at least like 70% of games with Strasbourg, you know, play internationally, etc, etc. So all this can come in time. But in the meantime, it's best for him to remain at a stable environment. This is what I like about the deal. He remains at Strasbourg, he gets used to life in Europe, he can link up with Angelo and other players that we signed via Blueco, because another player that we can't forget is the 17-year-old talented Senegalese midfield player in Papadou de Dion, who we've signed, and he is set to go to Strasbourg on a 5-year deal. Strasbourg have completed the move via Blueco, and they'll be signing him for 1.2 million. So it's a nice workaround. It allows us to tap into talents across the globe, and these players sign at such a young age that we can really assess their merits and worth in like 3 to 4 years time without even thinking about anything. I think this is good for us because at right back, who knows what happens? What if, worst case scenario, either one of Gusto or Reece James decides to go? What if in best case scenarios, one of these guys finds himself a new position within our team, which opens up an available slot at right back? It could make a lot of sense, it safeguards us, and for this price, I think I'm more than comfortable with things, because I think Pedro Lima has the potential to be a leading right back in Europe. There's big hopes around him in Brazil. They see him as the new Cafu, and they see him as the long-term answer to their right back issues. So yeah, great news for him, big move. I'm happy with things. You guys share your thoughts and opinions, and now let's move on to discussing other stories that dropped today. Let's discuss the latest updates surrounding our efforts to sign Aston Villa's Jhon Duran. As reported by Romano, Duran is the striker we're after and focusing all our attentions on. He is the lead candidate that we want to sign up front. He isn't necessarily the only name. As we've learned, there has been contact made with Dominic Solanke. At the moment though, Solanke is now protected by the $65 million release clause after signing a new contract agreement with Bournemouth, so that doesn't necessarily help. News has come out today suggesting that Tammy Abraham wants to return back to the Premier League and could be available for £20 million. But is he the type of striker that fits our new strategy? I'm not too sure, but in the meantime, it seems like Jhon Duran is the long-term answer and solution, an option we are turning to, and with the news suggesting that his price tag may not be around 40-45 million, but maybe closer to 25 million. To be honest with you guys, if we do sign him, let's keep things real. There's going to be so many clauses and bonuses inserted in this deal that even if we signed him for 40 million, technically, we're only paying around 20. Ideally, you hope that you're paying the rest of the future fees because that means that he's fulfilled his potential, and this is how this deal makes sense long term. But anyway, I thought I'd give my thoughts and opinions behind our efforts to sign him because I've been thinking about this story for the past few days, and now that I've had some time to think about our efforts to sign him, I mean, on one point, was it necessarily the direction I was hoping for? No. But is it the end of the world? I mean, absolutely not. So hear me out. I haven't always agreed with decision making from Stuart and Winstanley, but that doesn't mean that I think these guys are idiots that don't know what they're doing. And I'm not gonna act stupid and pretend they haven't done phenomenal business in terms of some of the players that they've had the foresight to sign early. There's been many success stories here. We saw a lot of these guys blossoming as the season was coming to an end. So I do have some faith and trust behind the players that they turn towards when they hope to sign them for us. And I do think Jhon Duran is a very smart option as I've had more time to think about things, because as I've been saying in videos, he is that perfect plan B. He is one of the youngest strikers in the Premier League. He's only just turned 20 years old. And even though his FBref stats show a lot of high percentiles for many interesting attributes in his game, what hit me was the fact that he's barely got first team minutes, yet he's ranking so high in percentiles, which reflects the fact that he is that impact sub that causes chaos, that makes things happen, that disrupts defenses. And he offers us something new in this team with that aerial threat, with that strength. He gives us a more direct option. He's not ready yet, but he is someone that you let grow as the backup for the next 1 to 3 years. And after that time, you may have a new leading striker in the division. That is the best case scenario. But the reality simply is too, this is great news for Nico Jackson, who personally I was kind of hoping may be able to get an additional season to just fine-tune and hone his game even more, because I think this guy has great natural talent and great potential. And personally, as I've been saying in videos, if we didn't technically sign Osimhen, then I care about how we distribute goals throughout the team. So I like the news surrounding Michael Olise. We have players like Nkunku, Palmer, Nico. Best case scenario, you're getting 15 goals minimum from each player. And on top of that, you're getting goals from set pieces, corners, the midfield, the subs, etc, etc. I think there's a good balance of goals here, and we don't necessarily need to sign a big striker, especially when there aren't many amazing options on that level in the market right now. Now, who knows if we ever decide to change our mind on Osimhen, because as I keep saying, Napoli eventually will have to lower their demands because no one's making a move from him right now, and they can't even afford him on his salary. So who knows if something comes from there. But in the meantime, we want to secure our striker for right now, hence by returning towards Jhon Duran. And I do think that as that plan B option that replaces Broja, someone that offers something a bit more aerial, a different profile and a different way to play, I think this could be a smart deal in the long term. So I'm kind of open to things now. I'm changing my mind. I just hope this means that we definitely secure Olise and we definitely improve in those other positions we need to. So my friends, that's the second story out of the way. Share your thoughts and opinions. And now we discuss a quick story surrounding Raheem Sterling's future, because as reported, it does seem like we are still open to selling Sterling. I think we always have been. I think his wage packet is ridiculous. He's the highest earning player at the club currently, and he doesn't necessarily reflect that value. Let's keep things real. Now, today reports suggest that West Ham are expressing an interest in looking towards Raheem Sterling. Who knows how tangible these reports are? Today they've signed the young talented winger in Luis Guillame, and I'd imagine that they want to give him that game time. But if players do leave, could there be an option for Raheem Sterling to remain in London and find a new life playing for West Ham? That would be the best case scenario, but as we know, Raheem Sterling doesn't want to go, and similar to many players at this football club, players like Gallagher, players like Trevor Jalibert, they don't have to be forced down. If they don't want to go, if they don't accept leaving, there's nothing the club can realistically do. So do I think West Ham have enough pull power to persuade Sterling to leave? I'm not too sure, to be fair with you. I think Raheem Sterling will feel maybe a bit aggrieved with how last season went. He'll feel aggrieved that he missed out on securing a Euro spot, and he'll want to come back stronger and better for next season and impress Enzo Maresca. So personally, I'm not expecting us to be selling Raheem Sterling unless some incredible offer comes in from a big club, or I don't know, a Saudi team comes in to like double his wages or something crazy like that. But I think it's quite obvious that Raheem Sterling's future isn't with us in the long term. And I think maybe when Esteval Willian actually comes next season, I would not be surprised if we're more aggressive and maybe forcing certain players out to get ready for the future. But I thought it's an interesting story because I would not be surprised that more stories come out surrounding Raheem Sterling's exit from this football club. So share your thoughts and opinions. Do you think Sterling deserves one more season, or are you ready now to watch him leave and go? Let us know. And for the final story today, we discussed the future surrounding Levi Colwill. Now, by the time I released last night's video, the news was already kind of late, so apologies for that, because it was revealed actually that Bayern Munich had reached an agreement with Stuttgart and had exercised the 30 million release clause for their left-footed Japanese centre-half called Hikore Ito. So he's now taking his medical within the next 24 hours. He's set to sign for Bayern, and that means that Bayern won't be pursuing anything for Levi Colwill. They won't be doing that too, because when they spoke to the player committed his future here and does not want to leave. But in the meantime, naturally, he wants to have conversations with Maresca to understand his long-term future. Now, a report came up today from Ben Jacobs suggesting that Colwill wants guarantees of first-team football, but that could be a bit premature in my opinion. And the reason why I say this is because this was exactly the same story that came out last season. And Levi Colwill dismissed those claims that he expected first team guarantees from Pochettino, because as we all know, Pochettino doesn't do that. We saw how he gave fair minutes to players last season, because if you impress in training, that is how you win your spot. And Colwill completely dismissed those allegations. And I hope you guys are looking at the screen right now, because I'm taking this extract from The Athletic. As you can see, such suggestions were wide off the mark last season. Colwill simply wanted to avoid a repeat of the previous summer window where, despite featuring in pre-season, despite the centre-back positions being quite thin at the time with, Rudiger and Christensen leaving, it was revealed that Thomas Tuchel barely acknowledged the presence and existence of Levi Colwill. So he just wanted some assurances that he will be looked at and will be considered seriously. That is not suggesting he wants first team minutes. And I feel like it's exactly the same thing with these reports today, because it's much more sexier to report it as, Colwill demands first team football. But players aren't stupid, and I think as fans sometimes, let's be a bit smarter. Like, I don't understand why we love the salacious allegations. And then, I don't know, I've been reading stuff on social media. Oh, Levi Colwill, who does this guy think he is? You know what I mean? Prove yourself on the field first. Who's to say you'll even still be at this football club? Like, all this dumb stuff. And maybe it's like different for me because, listen, maybe I've got more time to be covering these reports and stories because I have to for my channel compared to the average person. I mean, I completely get that. I'm not saying that I'm any better, you know what I mean? But I just feel like let's afford some grace to our players. And I don't know, I just feel like with, Cobham produced players, they seem to get less patience from the fan base compared to any new player that we sign who seems to get all the patience in the world. Now, the club see Levi Colwill in their long-term plans, hence why they've rejected big interest from Liverpool. Let's not forget, Liverpool tried to make a move last summer. Paris Saint-Germain came in, Bayern Munich have done the same thing, and that's because everyone wants that premium left-footed centre-back in their squad now. And if they feel like there's a possibility to get Colwill, naturally the best clubs will go for the best players. But at this football club, we believe highly in his ability, hence why we gave him that 6+1 year deal, hence why he's on a pretty big wage, I think over like 100,000, which is a big commitment, because the club's long-term plan is for both Levi Colwill and Wesley Fofana to become that duo in defence. I mean, we signed Fofana and he's one of the most expensive centre-backs in football history. He's on a massive contract, and you're not giving away money that easily if you're not investing in the long term. And I just think the balance of a left-footed Colwill, Fofana, the ball progression, the pace, the aerial ability, the composure on the ball, if these guys develop over the next 2 to 3 years playing consistently together, you could have one of the best partnerships in the Premiership, one of the best partnerships in Europe as well. So that is my hopes. That's my aspirations. I feel like because Colwill's been out of the public eye for the past few months, because he picked up the toe injury at the wrong time, I think everyone's forgetting the progress he made last season. It was a great educational year for him, his first season at our football club, Yes, he played a lot of minutes at left back and there were some difficulties at times, but if we remember, as the season went on, he was getting more comfortable playing left back and he was being more adventurous, overlapping, underlapping and playing further forward. By the time he started to get used to playing at left back, Pochettino decided to play him in defence, and we got this smaller sample size of his centre-back performances because not long after that, he got the toe injury and he was out for the next 3 months. So what I'm really saying is that, be patient. Don't sleep on talents like this. I think this preseason is going to be massive because finally these guys should be fit, fingers crossed, and we'll finally be remembered about the qualities they'll bring and what the plan is for these guys to play together. So my friends, that is all the stories this afternoon. Share your thoughts and opinions, hit that like button, and I'll be releasing another video later today because I want to do an analysis video on Jhon Duran. So see you guys soon. Cool.